Hey everybody, this is Dianne with Biters, and I am feeling woefully unprepared.
And this is Marnell, and I am feeling woefully dehydrated. And not just because of the show.
Right, that's perfect. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I'm a little sick, so if I start coughing in the middle, I apologize.
Well, I don't have a pop filter on my microphone, so if I start popping my S's and my P's, I apologize.
See, I don't know what she's talking about.
Well, so we are here to talk about, here I'm rattling my pages as well. We're here to talk about the mid-season premiere of Fear the Walking Dead.
Yes, this was a two-parter in one night again. So that caught me by surprise. I didn't know that they were going to do that.
I think I knew it because I remembered us talking about it, but then I was watching it record last night, and I watched it a little bit after it had recorded, and I was like, oh dear God, it's 2 hours.
Yeah. So, it was 123 minutes or something total on what I watched. So without commercial.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, so what was your rating?
My rating was, this was kind of a middle book for me. You know, we were kind of rehashing what had happened before, you know, in the previous season, or the previous half of the season, and then setting it up for, you know, our big cliffhanger always at the end. So I rated it at 3.5 liters of water.
So I'm only going to laugh because I rated it a little bit higher than you did. And I think that I probably didn't like it as well as you did because you seem to like Fear a little more than I do. I rated it at 3.95 out of 5 water witches.
Ah.
You and yes. You remember, don't you? You remember seeing people dowsing for water when you were a kid.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So it was kind of cool to see that lady from the nation dowsing for water.
Yep, divination rods, witching for water. Yep.
So this is season 3, episodes 9 and 10, Minotaur and the Diviner.
Yes. So, do you have the numbers for? Is it for both or for just one each?
So it's too soon for numbers for this, and I didn't go back and look at numbers for the mid-season finale. My bad. I guess I could pull those up on Wikipedia real quick while we talk, or Walking Dead Wiki has pretty good numbers.
Well, so, and at the beginning I was like, Minotaur, that's a you know, mythological creature, you know, that guarded the inside of the labyrinth in Greek mythology. It was the bull's head on the man's body. And then I did some more digging, and somebody actually referred to it as the bull-headed man. And I'm like, oh, that makes total sense.
Oh, so the stubbornness.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even think about it from that perspective.
That is where I put the title of the episode, Minotaur, with the overall episode, is just everyone is being so bullheaded. It's not just the men, you know. There's no sexism in this.
Right, God, no. Ophelia, Madison, and Alicia were all horrible too.
Yeah. So everyone is just being so stubborn about every little thing they can, you know. Alicia's trying to help, and so is Jake, but they've got such large personalities who are louder in the crowd than they are, that, you know, and Troy is definitely his father's son.
Oh, yeah.
And Nick is definitely his mother's son. I'm getting to see more and more of what's her name in Nick lately. Madison.
Yeah.
Yeah, that he keeps involving himself into situations that, you know, he doesn't need to be a part of, but he thinks that he can control it and use it to, you know,
to his ends.
Yeah, and it's not even so much that he wants to improve upon the situation. He just wants to have control over the outcome so it doesn't blow back on his family.
I think that's right. I mean, I think that's a good read on Nick's character.
Yeah. And then, I mean, you have the people at the camp and the people of the nation. You've got a lot of bullheaded people, who are just fighting for what they think is theirs, what they think is right. And, everyone is so bullheaded in their own. The only way you can say it is their prejudices, whether it's, your prejudice against the people who moved in on your land, or your prejudice against the people who want to take the land because they think it's rightfully theirs, and I think one of the characters says that you do go back into your own. I mean, this is not community. This is not nation. There are no borders. Everyone's just sort of out for themselves. And it's really sad that it devolves into the us versus them. And then when you get a bunch of bullheaded people, you're going to get a bunch of bullheaded people shooting at each other. And there are better ways.
So I like that as a read on Minotaur, because I was struggling to find what the meaning was. The only thing that I could come up with was the Minotaur was unnatural and he devoured humans for sustenance. So I was like, well, maybe that's kind of pointing at the zombies, but I like your read on it better.
Yeah, everyone's bullheaded.
Well, and then obviously the diviner was the woman who was looking for water with the dowsing rods.
Right.
But what else in terms of the diviner? I mean, I think some of it was probably the predictions about the water and being out of water.
The whole episode was everyone searching for the water. I mean, you had Walker and Madison go off in search of water. You have them searching for water in the on the land, and then you have a whole lot of drama around the one well. Water is life, and people are running low. And I think the biggest mistake that they made was not coming clean with everybody in the beginning, telling just the few select that are supposed to keep it together on their own, while all the adults are away, and you're just going to run into trouble. And I love that
Alicia just broke down and told everybody. Yeah.
And the guy's like, you should have told us this sooner. And it's like, well, I'm telling you now. So this is the way it's got to be. And of course, immediately everybody runs to their opposite sides of the camp and goes, we have to get more water than they do before they do. It's like, really? Like, I cannot believe that I'm one of those that I understand the lady with her horses and her cows. She needed more water and stuff. I'm one of those that I would probably give my dog half my water a day.
Right. I was totally thinking that.
Offered that little girl in line who had been standing in line all that time, an extra glass of water or something. But I'm not going to try and bleed the well dry before the next person over does. It's just not in my. I mean, granted, put me in a survival situation and I may change my mind, but I can't believe that we devolved to that,
Okay, I'm going to dial you back a little bit just because we're getting way off already. Okay, so I have some numbers. So, let's see. The Unveiling, which was the first half of the mid-season finale, was 2.62 million, which is a pretty healthy same-day view for Fear the Walking Dead. And then the Children of Wrath was 2.40 million. So, both of those were pretty good numbers.
Yeah, those are respectable considering, the other show that we do a podcast about occasionally.
Right. Which we will catch up on this week, right?
Right.
Preacher, in case anybody's wondering and doesn't know.
We have gotten a lot of likes to both the Biters page and the Preacher page. So welcome to our new listeners.
Thanks for hanging in there.
Yeah. I was at a movie the other night when Dianne texted me that Fear the Walking Dead is coming back. And, I had read that a month ago and I was like, oh, yeah, it is. And then to find out oh, it's a 2-hour one, And so yeah, these kind of snuck up on us. We're all waiting for Walking Dead Prime to come back next month. So I forgot that we hadn't wrapped up season 3 for Fear.
And we still haven't done our one-off about Pollyanna McIntosh. All right, so to get a couple of other things out of the way, Stephen Schwartz was the director, or Stefan Schwartz, for Minotaur, and we've talked about him before. He's worked on Walking Dead Prime, Dexter, Black Sails. The writer I didn't recognize, so the writer was a guy named Mike Zunick, and his other credits include writing the Flight 462 minisodes and the Passage minisodes.
I liked those.
Yeah, so he didn't have a whole lot other than those, but he's kind of a new face for us. And then for Diviner, the director was a guy named Paco Cabezas, and his credits include Penny Dreadful, which I've watched some of it, and it's pretty good. I just, it's one of those, oh my gosh, there's so much, and it's just not totally holding my attention,
Ditto. Yeah, ditto. I'm in the same boat. I've watched, I think I got like 2/3 of the way through, the first season. Are there? I thought there were more seasons.
I think there are. I think there's 3 seasons. If
I got 2/3 of the way through the first season, and just other stuff came up. So
he's worked on Into the Badlands, which is his AMC connection. And he has a series coming out called The Alienist, which I'm wondering if it is about if it's based on the novel that was written by Caleb Carr about 25 years ago. It was insanely popular when it came out. So I'm kind of wondering if that's not the source material for that.
He did one episode of The Strain. I like The Strain.
Which I haven't watched, so... And then, let's see. Our writer was a guy named Ryan Scott, and we talked about him because he was the writer of Teotihuacan.
Ah.
So, it's kind of interesting that he's back for another really apocalyptic episode of Fear.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then, go ahead.
Do any of them have ties to Breaking Bad?
Not that jumped out at me. I kind of skimmed them. I didn't look deeply, but I didn't see any.
Did you watch Talking Dead afterwards?
I have it taped. I haven't watched it yet.
Apparently there is a spoiler or a little Easter egg in the middle of the episode, the second episode, when Walker and Madison are walking through the open-aired bazaar, and you can hear the theme music to Breaking Bad playing in the background.
Oh, that's awesome!
So and of course they like to do that, like the blue meth that we saw in Walking Dead Prime.
And then all the references to that janky little white guy who was a dealer, who we are pretty sure is Jesse Pinkman. Yeah,
and so I just thought it was funny that they included Fear the Walking Dead in their little ongoing homage to Breaking Bad.
As if I didn't need to watch a new television, I totally need to binge Breaking Bad again.
I know, right? For some reason, I've been binging American Horror Story, and it's not because of the new American Horror Story that's coming out.
Which I did hear was quite political. I don't watch it, but I heard that the season opener was like, whoa!
It is very, very political, and for those who are on the opposite side of what Dianne and I think, yes, there is plenty for you to be offended about, because you're portrayed horribly.
Oh.
But there is stuff that was portrayed on our side where I'm like, we're not like that. That's a parody of us. We don't do those things. So there's plenty of being offended to go around. So.
Oh, good. It's always nice to be offended by an equal opportunity offender.
I'm glad it takes a lot for me to get offended.
I'm hit or miss.
Yeah.
My scrolling abilities have gotten a lot better in the last year.
My stroll game is strong.
So I didn't pick anybody new to look at for featured cast because I didn't really feel like there was anyone who really stuck out or kind of declared themselves as people who were going to stick around that we haven't already talked about.
Right.
So I went back and I looked at Coleman Domingo's page because I wanted to see what he was up to because I was so happy to see Strand back. You know, Strand is my favorite.
Up to his old trick.
Yes.
He needed to work off a debt.
My mother named me Victor because she knew I would always win.
Cat's got 9 lives.
Yeah, amen, man. So he's got a couple of things in post. He's got a movie called First Match that it looks like it might be a love story, and he plays a coach. He's like third billing. So yeah, I don't know. I recognize the couple of actors that were the top billing, so it'll be interesting to see where that goes. And then he's got a movie called Assassination Nation, and the plot line is 4 girls garner unwanted media attention after their personal information is released by a hacker, aka Equifax.
Right. Dianne and I both got nailed in that one.
I suspect my husband probably did too. I just haven't checked his social security number yet.
And I have super good credit. Don't take my credit. I'm just about to buy a truck.
Well, I got to tell you, so this is a totally off podcast thing, but we ended up adulting today. Like I told you, we were forced to be adults and meet with our insurance company. And I found out that we actually have like some identity theft insurance through them, which is really nice.
Oh, that's nice.
They'll actually pay for a private investigator to restore our credit rating if we get hacked.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Anyway.
Yeah, this assassination actually looks kind of funny. It has Bill Skarsgård in it, who
is from Buffy, right? Or not Buffy, from Sookie.
No.
Sookie. God, what is it?
Which one's Bill? Let's see. I think Bill is the younger brother who just did Pennywise. Yeah.
Right, but wasn't he also in True Blood? God, why was I struggling?
His hot older brother, Alexander Skarsgård.
Oh,
I know.
Okay.
So there's these hot Skarsgård brothers, and then there's the hot Hemsworth brothers. Yeah. So like there's like a bunch of families that have just a beautiful boy children that grow up to be actors.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, right now Bill Skarsgård is becoming famous for being the new Pennywise in Stephen King's It film, which by the way was an amazing film. It was super duper scary. Any of those scenes that you remembered from the original, just amp them up at least 10 times. You know, there was more blood, there was more creepy little like Bev's dad. Ugh, that made me quake in my boots. Yeah, it was everything the original was and more. And so I was really, really happy with it because I was a fan of the original movie. My only complaint is the kid who played Billy, which is the main kid with the stutter. I don't think he was as strong as the old Billy. I for some reason his performance fell kind of flat for me, but I liked all the other characters, Richie and Ben and Beverly and all of those. And the new take on Pennywise was pretty good. My heart resides with the old Pennywise because I think that he looks like Bozo the Clown, and I used to watch Bozo the Clown when I was a kid, and so Pennywise doubly freaked me out because I'm like, I know that guy from somewhere. So yeah. So the Assassination has Bill Skarsgård, Bella Thorne, Suki Waterhouse, and a bunch more. So it looks like a really young, hip cast that he'll be in. So.
And he's kind of middle down in the billing, and they haven't even assigned a name to his character yet in the stuff on IMDb. So I suspect it's not a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah. But it will be one I will be watching and go, there's Strand!
Right. Because now we know who he is and we love him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I didn't have a whole heck of a lot in terms of preliminary stuff. I kind of went into my good, bad, and ugly after that.
Did we get your rating?
Yeah, it was a 3.95 out of 5 water witches.
3.95. Okay. So yeah, you did rate it a little higher than I did.
Yeah, I think I was just feeling generous last night.
Well, and I actually just watched it today, and so I haven't had a time to overthink everything. So, yeah. Yeah. Should we get into our goods and our bads and our uglies?
Yeah. So
All
what was your
right.
good?
My good is Nick is. I hope that it's a good. He is kind of becoming a leader. And it's in the wake of Troy being banished. And for a while there, we didn't know whose side Nick was on. Was it Troy's side or the camp side or what was going on? But people are starting to turn to him for leadership. And I hope that that's a good thing. Because Nick wouldn't be my default leader.
No, definitely not.
And I think it's funny that these guys who have lived there forever. I mean, on the one hand, they're calling, what's her name, his sister, Alicia. They're calling her an outsider, and on the other hand, they're wanting to make Nick the head of their little militia. So, yeah, I really hope that Nick makes a lot better choices than Madison. I hope he's learned by this example. And up until the very, very end of the second episode, I really thought he was going in a bad direction. But when he, handed over the gun and went over and helped Ophelia dig, I was like, okay, maybe he can do this.
So I think we saw the younger generation kind of coming into power a little bit more. Although I think that that's going to be a struggle with Madison.
Well, and it's so funny because, me, I could never not equate anything to Game of Thrones. But in Game of Thrones, this is what they did is the older adults that are, the watchers or the lords or whatever have to leave the castle or the grounds for some other situation. And they leave their basically teenage kids. I mean, some of them are preteens in charge of, their keep or whatever they have. And it's these, because of who their parents are, they're left in control of people that are decades older than them, who are wiser than them. And hopefully the kids are wise enough to know they don't have all the answers and they need to bring somebody in. But I see this kind of the same thing happen in Game of Thrones. And it is kind of a, they're post-apocalyptic and Game of Thrones was, way back in medieval days. So, I mean, this is kind of how things are done in an unstructured society is you grow up quick.
So I have a question for you. What was Nick's motivation to stay with Troy? Do you think he just didn't know how to get out of the situation once he got kind of sucked into Troy's attempt to go out in a blaze of glory? Or do you think that he was trying to save Troy? What was his motivation in that?
I think I want to think that it was a keep your friends and close, keep your enemies closer kind of situation where he was hoping to stop the train accident before it happened.
I see.
And also I think Nick is just kind of a lonely guy, I mean, he seems to have always had somebody with him. He had his girlfriend or his sister or, what was the other chick's name? Luciana?
Yeah, we didn't see Lucy.
Yeah, of course, Luciana's left. So we've had Luciana. He had I think a little bit of Ophelia. He's always with somebody. I mean, he kind of got in with Troy and Jake's dad. He can't be alone with himself, I don't think. And
he kind of had that woman at before La Colonia,
right?
The woman at the estate, at the Abbey estate, who kind of took him in.
Yeah, and so Troy always needs either to be
Nick, you mean?
I'm sorry, yes, Nick always tries to be into somebody else's in their command, or now they have made him the leader, but he can't be on his own. He has to kind of glom on to somebody or something. He's an addict. That's my interpretation of that.
Well, my good was the return of Strand. And I was just so happy to see it. And I thought, you're right. I mean, it was just perfect the way that we see him again. He's in dire straits. He's gotten himself indebted to someone and he's trying to figure out how to weasel himself out, which is kind of the way that we saw him at the very beginning of the series. I also really like that Madison sacrificed the water to get Strand's freedom.
Yeah, I have very mixed feelings that will come out in my ugly about this.
Well, and I remember that we talked about it, and I was like, yeah, we're going to all come together at the dam over water.
Yep.
So, all of that kind of lined up to be so. But
yeah,
I really thought the return of Strand was probably my favorite part of this opener. And
so it took like a dozen things of gold to pay off his debt. What the hell did he do?
Okay, so I've got a couple of things about that.
Okay.
One is, why on earth would she take... Why would anyone want gold in this economy, in this new economy? Water is so much more precious than gold at this point.
Yeah, but I think there's the whole, you can buy water with I think it's a currency. I think you can buy water with the gold, and then the guys who distribute the water, they have the gold, and then they can go around and they can buy services from the obviously grossly underage prostitutes at the bazaar.
But gold is it's not valuable. You can't eat it. You can't drink it. It doesn't kill zombies.
No, but it is a form of non-perishable credits. Basically, it is a monetary system.
I think it's people holding on to old ideas, though. I don't think it has value in this new era.
Yeah, I think we are still at this time we are still holding on to the way things were. But I guess if you can't barter and trade, I don't know.
The other thing is, going back to Strand, I was so happy to see him comforting Madison when he realized that Travis had died.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Strand and Madison really belong together because they're both broken in the same way.
I really do like their relationship.
Yeah, I do too.
When they almost held hands, I was like, I know Strand's a gay guy. I think he may be ambiguous about it.
Yeah, I don't think he's gay per se. I think he's probably bi, because I think he's one of those people that if he sees someone in you that he is attracted to, it doesn't matter what your gender is.
Right. And so I don't want to say that he's it's not even bisexual. You're right. You're attracted to
he's
that
fluid.
person.
His sexuality is very fluid.
Yeah. And so, I could see them developing and not right away. It would be a long term, they're going to go through a lot of trials and tribulations together, I think, but they are definitely very similar people.
Yeah. They're just really well matched.
Yeah. And I think that one of them can calm the other one down when needs be, and kind of check their more negative behaviors that they do and get themselves in trouble for.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So my bad, and I don't know if I missed something. Maybe I'll catch it on the rewatch or something. The letting the nation control all of the guns.
Initially they didn't. Initially it was supposed to be Troy and Walker. Not Troy and Walker. It was supposed to be Jake and Walker working together. But then when Jake and... I'm blanking. When Jake and Alicia... No, sorry. Where did...
I'm pretty sure Madison was like, no, just give Walker all the guns.
Was that to... I think that was to make up for Troy and Nick. That was to kind of smooth over what Troy and Nick had done.
No, that was when the kid attacked one of the
Oh, right.
crazy dog, I think,
Yeah.
in the camp with the gun, and he choked him out, and the kid wound up having a crushed trachea, which they can't do anything about, so he's going to die slowly. Troy got banished for his behavior, and Nick got sent to a hot box.
Right, I know that, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking, wasn't giving them control of the arsenal kind of the added thing of smoothing that over? Or did
I don't know.
did I miss it?
I thought it was just in reaction of the kid that tried to kill one of them, and it was like, how many more people feel this way? How many more, are whispering in each other's ears, and this is just going to keep happening. But to give up all of the guns, why not split them 50-50? Like, there was no negotiation. It was just like, okay, just give them all the guns.
Do you think maybe she didn't split them 50-50 because that would have pitted them even more toward each other? That would have definitely created the us versus them that ended up evolving anyway?
I don't know what she was thinking. Like I said, I'm like, did I miss something more
Well, we
subtle
obviously did,
going
because
on?
we were both like, why did that happen again?
No, either I missed something or this was just another bad decision by Madison. Like, oh, these guys are the nicer guys. They'll be able to keep the peace. My children don't need guns to keep the peace. We can talk it out. I don't know, but that was definitely my bad. Is like, if you're gonna like empty the armory, split it evenly, or don't empty the armory. Like, just be like, no. Yeah.
I think that splitting it evenly would have created war earlier than it evolved anyway. But I don't know.
And I do agree with you on that. The people who had been relying on guns had to come up with a plan, and it put him a step behind. And so I think that's when things started to die out, in that maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Maybe we should be trying to live with these guys in harmony, especially since we all only have 6 weeks of water left.
Right.
Yeah. I think having the guns on the one side rather than the other, I think it forced it to a head in a better direction. It didn't force them all to war. I mean, you either have, it's sort of like our nuclear arms race. It's like everyone has them or no one has them. Pick one, but when they realized that there was another way, instead of going in and shooting and killing all of these outsiders, maybe we can work together and find more water, build a new well, do something, And I think hence the name of the episode, Divination.
Diviner.
Or the Diviner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my bad.
Well, my bad kind of started out as my good, and then I was like, but... So at first I said, I was really happy with the way that the 2 episodes flowed together. It really, really felt like they were constructed to be together, that it wasn't like they were just parts of a series.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was looking over some summaries, looking over a recap, and I was like, I didn't even think about the Daniel and Lola stuff, really. It didn't even feel like it was part of it.
Yeah.
So I guess that's my bad, is I'm not really sure that the Daniel and Lola stuff really fit in or really even needed to happen.
Yeah, I think that could have been taken care of in an episode that just focused on the dam, probably right before Strand and Madison and Walker get there.
Right, because we're obviously coming up to it, and then they're going to be like, oh, Salazar, we have Ophelia.
The scenes where people start attacking Strand and the other woman.
You mean Salazar and the other woman?
I'm sorry, yes, Salazar and the other woman, about not giving them enough water. Because they're not charging, are they?
No, they're just giving water out.
Yeah, and so people are already freaking out that they're not getting enough water. And so this whole second episode was based around water is life, and everyone's running out of water. Everyone needs more, and I need more because I'm a bigger guy, or I need more because I have horses, or I need more because I, patch all the fences all day and I sweat out 3 liters a day. Like everyone needs more, and no system is going to be entirely fair.
So I have to tell you on that note, and this isn't good, bad, or ugly, but there was a part of me, and I think it comes off of some of Preacher has been more political than we thought it would be lately. Mm-hmm. But this has been so political, and there's part of me that is good with Fear the Walking Dead taking on themes that we're obviously having to deal with as a country. But there's another part of me that's like, I just, I watch this every day on the news. I don't want to watch things about scarce resources. I don't want to watch things about people hating other people because of their race or because of how they came to this country. And I don't want to watch people fighting each other.
Yeah, your escapism needs to be kind of a nicer, softer place.
It needs to be escapey.
Yeah. This is why I watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah, maybe that's my bad, is that my escapism isn't so escapey right now. Well, what's your ugly?
My ugly is Madison. Quit trusting Troy at all.
Right?
Ever. Stop. Just no. Oh. Like, when is she gonna learn? What is it gonna
shot
take?
Him.
He should have been shot long ago at the ranch. I mean, he should have went down with his dad.
Yeah.
Because he was gonna be just a pain in the ass as his dad, and I think even more so because he's got the ability. I mean, Jake was an older guy, whose body is breaking down and everything, and Troy is like
Jeremiah. It must be the cold medicine.
He's like all like G.I. Joe about everything, and he's so antagonistic about it. Is the thing is like he just doesn't even know when to keep his mouth shut. Like at least be sneaky about it. No, he's not sneaky about it at all. If he wants you to know that he hates you and he wants to slit your throat in your sleep, you're going to know it. And it's like, now I don't trust you with anything, dude. Like, he's just such an overtly bad character. And now, like any bad James Bond decision, you let him run off.
Wandering loose, I know.
Yeah, and he's going to come back at any moment, and it's going to be not a good situation.
Brian loves Madison. No. Actually, I've been thinking about Brian this whole podcast going, he would be right there with you. Madison.
I mean, if we are just randomly shooting people in the head that are costing the group, causing the group to be in a negative situation, with a possible attacking army and dwindling supplies and things like that. As long as we're killing Jake Otto, why not take out Troy Otto? Like, I don't understand why he wasn't killed right around the same time his dad was.
I actually really thought that Nick was going to put him down in the midst of the whole confusion of the firefight, but didn't happen.
I kept thinking in the back of the truck when they were giving him his long walk, I really thought that Madison was going to actually finish him off and do something good. But no, now he's out there. And of course he knows his way home.
Right.
And of course he would do that to his brother. Of course.
And not only that, but he had kind of another rapey moment. He was kind of creepy.
He does still have that whole mommy wife vibe thing going for Madison.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah. I do not like Madison's continued unhealthy relationship with Troy.
Well, in the vein of Madison's continued unhealthy relationships, I actually had a good ugly, and it was Alicia's just outward realization that Madison is so freaking toxic.
Yeah.
I loved what she said about the burden of being mom's favorite.
Yeah.
That was such a good line. And just the fact that she was basically like, Nick, Mom is a mess and she is messing us up. I just really liked that whole scene.
Well, and then when she goes up, when Walker's burying his ancestors back on the land, and they were having the talk, and she's like, you shouldn't trust my mom with this.
Right.
You need to start trusting Jake with this.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Way to go, Madison.
Well, but I really think that is kind of a passage into adulthood for Alicia.
Yeah, way to go, Alicia.
Seeing that Madison is so toxic. And the other thing was just, once again, Madison puts Alicia in this place of huge burden, telling her about the water secret, not telling Nick, not telling anyone else, and being like, and you have to make it okay while I'm gone, okay?
Well, and what I loved about that is Alicia actually went up to her and was like, there's something you're not telling me. Like, she knows her mom. There's something you're not telling me. You need to tell me. You know, I love Alicia for that. Just knowing that it's like, I don't have 100% of the story, so I can't do what you're asking me to do unless you let me in on what's going on.
I hope that we will continue to see her come into her own, and we may actually see a place where Madison is in direct conflict with her own kids.
Yeah.
In terms of how all of this shakes out as far as power structure goes.
Yeah, you know, we've always talked about Madison doing anything for her kids and holding so tightly onto her family that I think, you know, they're just going to slip through her hands. She's holding on too tightly. And we saw that with Travis.
Yeah.
So, I'm worried about Jake.
Are we getting into rotting potpourri?
I think that we're getting into rotting potpourri. if I could smell right now, I would probably and Vapo Mix.
Dude, it's totally been dumping buckets of here. Not like Harvey buckets of water, not like Irma buckets of water, but it's been raining like crazy. So trust me, it smells like rotting potpourri outside.
The garage is a little extra musty this year. Yeah. But
okay, you're worried about Jake.
I'm worried about Jake. Like, they did a really good job with his makeuping in that, like, when he was talking to Troy, when they were telling him that he's getting banished, like, he really, like, if I wouldn't have known that was him, I couldn't have picked him out. I mean, he looks gaunt and pale, and I think that that's a foreshadowing that we are going to lose Jake at some point. He's either going to die from his illness or we're going to get in a fight and he's going to be too weak to fight and he's dead.
You know, he doesn't feel permanent. He doesn't feel like he's fixed in the cast, so that wouldn't surprise me.
It disappoints me because
he's a good character.
He is, and I like that little speech that Alicia gave about him when everyone was trying to pressure him for more water and more this and more that, and she's like, look at everything that he's done for you, and he's lost his father and his brother, and, you know, like, you guys need to listen to him. You know, like, I love how she sticks up for him, and she needs to admit her feelings for him, but I really think that his head is on the chopping block by the end of the season.
So since we're talking about the Otto boys, and since we both feel like Troy is obviously coming back, do you really think that Nick's confession that he killed Jeremiah would devastate Troy as much as it did? I mean, my whole thing was, this guy is a sociopath. He doesn't give a damn about anybody, including his father. Well, why would that stop his rampage? Yeah,
and his father was always the one that helped kind of rein him in.
Right? That's a good point. Now that's gone.
Now the rabid dog is off the leash. And I think he's okay with being off the leash, even if that meant his father had to die for him to be off leash. So no, I think if anything, like, Troy gives Nick props for that. You know, it's like, way to man up and have some balls and shoot my dad.
Right.
Yeah, I think he kind of admires him a little bit for that. So, and that it always, I think that Nick is always going to be on the side of his family, but he can go to a very, very dark place when he's around the wrong people. And that whole scene when he was in the hot box,
right?
And Troy comes up like a walker. I was like, oh my God, that didn't last long, Troy. And then he was like, ah.
Well, and then it was just a hallucination.
Right. And, you know, I like halfway through it, I was like, Nick's hallucinating. Nick's dehydrated. He's got heat stroke. He's hallucinating. And like right up until the end, like when he opened the door, I'm like, I still think he's hallucinating. I don't think this is real. And turns out it wasn't. But yeah. But I think I even read something today that said there will be more Troy in the future. I
can't imagine that there won't be.
Yeah. I think that he's going to stay close to home. I don't think we're going to find him at the bazaar or at the dam or anything like that. I think he's going to pop up near his home. It's what he knows.
So since we're in Rotting Potpourri and we're just kind of skipping around, the bazaar was kind of cool.
I loved it.
I mean, it really put me in mind of something from like Mad Max or Blade Runner or something like that. It was really a little bit futuristic in that society has fallen apart, but we're still trying to cling way. But it was also really, really apocalyptic. I love the imagery. Even before I knew about the Breaking Bad reference.
My only issue with the bazaar was the entrance fee. You know, I'm like, oh, that sucks.
Right. I mean, who can pay the entrance fee?
Yeah, and like that wasn't in the brochure. I didn't know to bring an entrance fee money. Like,
that's so funny. I didn't know there was a cover charge.
Don't you know who I am? So I was like, oh, that sucks. She lost her radio for the cover charge, you know, and you're not even through the door. Like, of course, I thought that he was bringing in a pipe bomb. I thought Walker had a pipe bomb.
Oh.
And, yeah. Little did I know it was full of gold. But I was like, yeah, I don't know what they think they're here for, because it doesn't look like these people have any more water besides, you know, basically what they can carry on their backs. Maybe they were looking for a source of water, you know, wherever the water they get comes from. And I really wish you'd have seen a lot more of the bazaar, because that always interests me in movies when you're in some, like, you know, Middle Eastern craft and spice bazaar, or you're in some ancient, you know, here's our harvest and our poultry and things like that. Like, I love those. I think those are amazing, and they're so full of, you know, different cultures and different people and things like that all coming together for one thing, and that's just to sell their wares, you know. So I love, even in modern day, I love like swap meets and flea markets and stuff like that. So they're always so interesting.
I do think we might see more of Maria Liu, who is the person that they were trying to make the deal with for the water. I mean, I know that I said earlier when I was talking about featured cast that there wasn't really anyone who stuck, who I felt was going to be part of our cast, but I think we might see her again. And I think we might see Proctor again.
I hope that we see Proctor again, because I really want to know what Strand did, that it took like 11 or 12 things of gold to buy his way out of.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to know what Strand did to Proctor, because, I mean, did I miss that in an episode a couple episodes ago or something? Because the last that I knew, he was leaving the dam.
Now, I think that we'll get more of that backstory. I think that Proctor will come back, and I think that we'll find out why Strand ended up indebted to him.
Well, and if it's only a 2-day drive, that may be a good place to go trade wares. I mean, we may say this as Walking Dead Prime. You know, they have the different communities that have different specialities. You know, this may be just an expansion of our universe, at least until things go topsy-turvy at the farm.
I think so. I think that's exactly what it is we're seeing a little bit of an expansion of the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. What else did you have in your potpourri?
Divination. Water witching.
Yeah,
Do we believe in it?
I've seen it work.
I have too, and that's the thing is I am so scientific minded and so like practical that I'm just like if I hadn't have actually seen people do it, and the kind of scientific explanation for it is these people are like the people who could read microfacial expressions. They can read things in the topographical area and the surrounding vegetation and things like that that tell them where so it's more of the person reading the situation than it has anything to do with the dowsing rods. But I don't know.
Well, it kind of makes me wonder about stuff like electromagnetics and maybe physical fields, physical things that we're just not aware of on a significant level.
Well, so here's the thing. We go to just about the same coffee place every morning. We have there's a couple of them around town, but we know the one that's not busy in that time of the morning. So we go there, and I was sitting there one morning, and the barista, she's like, "Do you think that the full moon has an effect on people like they say it does?" And I said, "Absolutely, like without question." And she's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because our bodies are 2/3 water." And the phases of the moon have a pull on the oceans. You know, the pull of the tides. I was like,
right.
So like, it makes sense that it's the movement of the moon does something to our bodies that are also 2/3 water. So, I mean, humans have and I think most animals have a connection to water. So it would not shock me to find out that some people have more of like a connection or an attunement to certain things than others do.
I think it's probably more of a scientific basis than a metaphysical basis. I mean, I do think there's some legitimacy to it. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, in the total woo-woo side of things, we both saw it work as kids. So,
yeah. But only for water. Apparently, you can actually do dowsing for things like oil and metal, too, which I didn't know.
Well, and there are other ways of using divining rods, but it's been a long time since I've thought about that as anything more than what we're talking about right now. So
right. And she was actually using the dowsing rods.
Yeah.
I've seen people use the Y-shaped stick, and that one to me just doesn't have the same oogie boogie
as the rods actually crossing on their own.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like with the stick, the guy's pushing the thing around the Ouija board, whereas with the divining rods, something might be happening on their own.
So what did you think about Walker's story about his dog?
Refresh my memory on it.
So he basically is telling Madison that she's just putting too much into overprotecting her kids, and he tells a story about his 3 beautiful dogs, and one of them is now dead. And it got into a fight, and he said he reached into the middle of the fight to try to protect his dog, and the dog bit him.
Huh.
And so, I mean, he was using it to make a meta point about that essentially Madison's kids are going to bite her as she tries to protect them.
So does that mean she has to put one of them down?
Maybe. I don't know. I kind of wondered if Walker actually ended up being the one to kill his own dog after his dog bit him. But
I think Walker's the kind of guy who would nobody totally else does it but me.
But I also think he's the type of guy who'd be like, you bit me, I'm putting you down.
Yeah. Definitely.
I don't know. I thought of you, of course, because it was a horrible dog story.
Well, yeah, and it's equating dogs to children, and I'm like, my first thing is like, don't kill the dog, but then I'm like, dog bites, I don't know. Kid bites, definitely. But, yeah, it's funny. People hate it when we equate our dogs with their children, because they're like, it's not the same, and then this guy goes and equates her children with his dogs.
Right. Which, by the way, there's this whole side group with My Favorite Murder, the podcast. their Facebook page, there's this whole side group of people who are child-free murderinos, and it is really funny. Speaking of children, dogs, pets, all of that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's totally funny. And in the beginning of the episode, when the walkers are coming down the hill and the guys are kind of waiting to ambush them, there was a couple of dogs running around. There
right.
was like that
were kind of hurting the walkers.
Yeah. And I was like, I haven't really seen, like, they weren't on the buggies with the guys when they left. Are those just roving packs of dogs?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we haven't really seen many animals used in the farm aside from horses. So
yeah, so I didn't know if those were like just strays, or because I mean, you'd have to imagine there would be, hundreds upon hundreds of abandoned house pets that are now surviving on their own and breeding. And that's how you get, packs of rabid dogs running around.
Who eventually become food for Rick and the gang in Walking Dead Prime.
Or trap you on top of a car in the middle of the searing hot desert
right.
while walkers are closing in on you. Yeah. Yeah, so I was like, oh, I wonder if those dogs belong to anyone. Because I would be the sucker who would bring them in. Water shortage or no. I'd be like, nope, I get extra liters for my dogs.
Yeah, right. And people would say, no, we're going to eat your dogs.
And that was the other thing, is I was waiting for that. I was waiting for somebody to eat a dog or something. There's a new movie with Kate Winslet and Idris Elba. They coming out. They get into a plane crash, and I think she has her dog with her, and if they're like in the Alps or something. And I'm like, I told everyone, I was like, that looks like a really good movie, but if they eat the dog, I'm walking out of it.
If they eat the dog, I'm out. I'm tapping out.
Don't kill the dog.
So another thing just about this, did you notice that Nick's hair was like really, really, really short at the beginning and really long and scraggly? It's starting to get long and scraggly again at the end. He had amazing hair growth over a very short period of time.
I didn't notice that it was a hair growth, but in the beginning, he was talking to Troy.
And he had the little militia haircut still.
Yeah, and his collar was all pulled up and everything. Yeah. And I'm like, he looks awful. And yeah, by the end of it, when he was sitting on the couch talking to Alicia,
it's like kind of longish and greased back again, and bad editing, bad move on their part. No, but it was not good continuity.
Yeah, I don't like the short hair. I mean, not that I like the long, scraggly, greasy Johnny Depp hair, but
but if they're gonna do it, they should be consistent. There should be continuity. He shouldn't have massive hair growth in like 5 days. Yeah. The only other thing that I wanted to say, and you kind of brought it up, was that I really liked the end. I mean, we had this whole dynamic of the nation and the ranchers against each other the whole time. And then at the end, we see them kind of figuring it out and starting to work together to dig a new well. And I hope that kind of bodes well for where the people of the nation and Brokejaw Ranch might be going.
Right. And I also liked in the ending that one of my rotting potpourris was when they were in the bazaar and they were bartering for the water, and of course, out of the corner of her eye, Madison's people getting into a fight, and she has to go stick her nose into it. Of course. But it turns out to be Strand, so I guess she's forgiven. I don't know. But you knew the second you found out that Strand was in debt and Walker has all this gold that they're about to buy water for, you knew she's going to buy his way out of debt. And so, which I hate it that I actually think that was a smart move on her part, because if he knows where this dam is and they can get water from it, I don't know how they think they're going to get water from it, seeing how she just used all of their money. Maybe she thinks that Strand left that place on good terms. I don't know. Why would you leave? But so I am really glad that we are going to get a reunion of Madison, Strand, and Salazar, and Madison is going to know where Ophelia is, and that's how we kind of get everyone coming back together.
Which is what we've been predicting all along.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that this sets up the second half of the season pretty well. I think that we have some potential for some decent TV. Um, I although I was kind of kicking and screaming to the microphone tonight because I just didn't have the energy to really talk. I really am kind of looking forward to this second half of the season. So hopefully they'll be consistent and it will be good.
Yeah. I think they're setting it up to be.
Yeah.
So the name of the next episode is La Serpient. Is that how you say it?
I didn't look at it. Let me pull it up because my Spanish is so much better than yours is. I say that with a question.
Yeah, no, well, and I'm also like, I'm going to try and blame it onto my nasally coffee speaking.
Let's see.
So it looks like they're going to reach out to another
Serpiente?
Yeah.
That's me pretending that I know how to speak Spanish. Please, anyone out there in the Biters universe who actually speaks Spanish, let us know.
So I think this is where we get our reunion.
Well, so a mission is launched to replenish the ranch's water supply by seeking help from another community. Is that other community the community around the dam, or are they going to be bringing in yet another community?
Well, in the AMC, if their webpage synopsis shows Salazar standing there.
So it's probably not going to be anybody other than...
Yeah, following a rekindling of an old friendship, a mission is launched to replenish the ranch's water supply by seeking help from another community. So, yeah, this looks like a very Salazar Strand heavy episode.
I'm good with that.
Yeah. Watch, by the time they get back with this 10,000 gallon truckload of water and a deal for more, the diggers will have struck another well. They'll have found this giant aquifer under there.
But won't it be kind of cool if they actually manage to find another well and get things kind of hashed out at the ranch?
It will be, but at that point, what's the antagonistic thing gonna be that's gonna make everyone leave the ranch? Because we can't stay here forever.
You're right.
It's gonna be, it's gonna be the us versus them, or running low on food, or minor terroristic deals against each other. Little dude bringing a gun to breakfast.
Well, he's dead anyway, so.
Honestly, what were you thinking? Like, do that in private.
He wasn't. I mean, actually, Alicia said he was drunk.
He's still drunk.
Yeah. Yep.
Well,
hey, go ahead.
They're running out of water. They're certainly running out of fire water.
So I was just kind of skimming through some stuff on the internet while we were wrapping up, and there was this 10 things to know about Kim Dickens, who is the woman who plays Madison.
Uh-huh.
So she has a project in the works called Lizzie, the story of Lizzie Borden.
Ooh.
And her co-stars are Kristen Stewart and Chloe Sevigny.
Sevigny, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
So.
That's interesting.
I think she must play, I don't think she plays Lizzie. Maybe she plays Lizzie. I'm not sure.
I would think she would play Lizzie's mom.
Yeah, but Lizzie's mom got killed, so...
Well, then that's just me projecting. She plays mom.
All right, we should wrap this up.
All right.
So, next week we will be looking at La Serpiente. And we'll be catching up on Preacher, too.
Some point.
All right. Have a good night.
Everyone take it one dead day at a time.
Hey, that was close.
Not bad.
That was better.
It was.
Obviously, we need to be out of practice.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.